Well, we have joining us in the studio Channels Television's data analyst Babajide Ogunsanwo for more on the opportunities for small and medium enterprises. Good to have you.
Yummy meals, like you said.
Indeed. But really tell us, are SMEs the key to unlocking Nigeria's economic potentials?
I think they are. And tonight I will reveal 5 secrets to SMEs about how they can make more money. And I think you should also write it down when I reveal them. But before then, I'd like to talk about 3 things. The first is, why is oil still important with regarding trade? The second is, who are those that are really buying our oil? And finally, we should also look at, can we, for instance, look elsewhere? Now, the evidence we have from the first 90 days of trade, which is the report released by the National Bureau of Statistics, shows that out of the 5.5 trillion naira worth of exports out of our ports in the first 90 days of this year, 74% of that figure was oil. In other words, oil is still significant in the survival of the nation. So the second question is, who are those buying the oil? Now, the evidence as well shows one word: Europe. While other nations and other countries are buying our oil, Europe still stands out as the most significant oil partner we have. And in Europe, we're talking specifically about Spain, Netherlands, Italy, and France. Now, the third question is, if we don't look towards Europe for money, can we look elsewhere, say Asia? But the challenge we have with Asia is China. And by China, let's look at our trade relationship with China. Is it positive or negative? And within that recent report from the National Bureau of Statistics, it shows that we are importing significantly more from China than exporting. In other words, in the first 90 days of the year, our trade balance with China was a deficit of over 800 billion naira in only the first 90 days of this year. Last year, 2018, our trade deficit with China was over 2 trillion naira. In the final analysis, here's what I mean. While it is important for us to explore oil, because that is still a significant source of revenue, we now need to exploit our population, because that is really where the future is.
Because I'm a little worried now, talking about SMEs, are there hidden opportunities in terms of foreign trade?
You're asking me to reveal the secrets.
For the enterprise.
And I surely will. But there are opportunities for SMEs. But let's look at the relationship, our trade relationship with the rest of the world. What we'll see is, we see our trade relationship with Africa, we say a positive. Our trade relationship with America is a negative in the first 90 days of this year. So in other words, we are still importing more from the United States than we're exporting. Our trade relationship with Asia as well, negative. Our trade relationship with Europe in the first 90 days shows a positive. But here's what SMEs really need to focus on, and they need to write down: the 5 secrets. And by the 5 secrets, I'll start with secret 1. How can you make money as an SME? The first secret is food. Why do I say food? More than half of what Nigerians spend locally is still on food. So more than half of the monies that go around that are spent in making several purchases in the country still goes on food. The second opportunity is for the big players, oil. Again, more than half of our revenue, money that comes in from trade, comes from oil, and that can perhaps be played by only those that have big purses. Now, the third opportunity, agriculture, Asia. Now, what it shows from the report is Asia is where most of our agricultural products go for. So rather than focus on getting a visa from the United States or United Kingdom, Millicent, if you're interested in making money as an SME, you want to be involved in the sort of relationships that are going on in Asia, because that is where our agricultural produce is going to. But again, the fourth secret is, what sort of agricultural produce as an SME should you consider? Sesame seed, cashew, and cocoa. And those are the products that we are selling the most when it comes to agriculture. And what is the fifth? The fifth is, do not forget the first 4 promises. Again, if you focus on food, there's a lot of money for the SMEs. If it's in agriculture, cashew, cocoa, and sesame. And if you have a bit of money to invest, there's still a lot of opportunities by offering services to the oil and gas sector.
So your forecast for the future of trade for SMEs in Nigeria?
My forecast is technology will still play a big role. But looking carefully at this perhaps should be what you should remember if you don't remember anything at all. And that is, little expenses can change your fortune a lot. Remember the words of Benjamin Franklin, a little hole in a ship can sink it. And so, little expenses can sink your purse. Do not take your eyes off those little expenses.
All right, and off the ball. Thank you for sharing those trade secrets for SMEs, Mr. Babajide Ogunsanwo, for coming on the program.